glad you guys could join me. And if you do have a question, just put it in the chat. If there's something, Megan, that I can address while we're going, feel free to interrupt me. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about the stock market game, and then hopefully we'll have some time at the end to do an activity that you could use right away with your kids. That's a fun game to play that helps them understand investing. All right, so the stock market game is its online simulation of just like the real stock market. And so students are put into teams. You have to put them into teams, and they will get their individual login and individual password for their team to go onto the site, and that's where they do everything. And so every team starts with $100,000 as soon as you register. The team is created, and that money is put into a savings account. And in the game, it earns 0.75%. And every Friday, they will get an interest payment in their account for whatever money they have in their savings account. And then if they did happen to buy more than $100,000 worth of stocks or investments, the game would let them do that up to a point, basically borrowing the money. And so then you'd have to actually pay interest on whatever excess you spent more than $100,000. And the interest rate, I believe, is 7%. So instead of getting an interest payment every Friday, that team would have a debt applied, whatever interest they owed, for whatever money they borrowed. All right, so the teams are going to, it's a real world environment. So the stocks are the real stocks with the real ticker symbols, and the prices are the real prices. So if they happen to make a trade during business hours, then they're going to get the price exactly what it was when they made that trade. If they make the trade outside of the business hours, then they would be applied the price when the market opens the next morning. So it's very real world. And the teams are competing to end up at the end of the game period, which is April 15th in the spring. When the game ends, the team with the highest portfolio value, their cash, their stocks, whatever their investments are, all that added together, whichever team has the highest net worth will be the winner. And the top three teams are typically recognized by SC Economics. The top three teams in elementary, the top three in middle school, and the top three in high school are recognized. And Megan, if you want to interrupt and give us a sneak peek of what might be happening in the spring or what you guys are thinking in terms of the coronavirus. And
yeah, so we are hoping to have our in-person awards day in May. So all of our competitions, any of the top three winners are invited. We have like a banquet, it's in Columbia, and all of our winners, top three, are recognized, and I'm thinking we're going to do trophies again this year. So yeah, we are crossing our fingers that we are able to be in person this year for that.
Awesome. So let's see. So why should you do it? It's a lot of good reasons for kids to engage them and apply math skills and just learn a little bit about investing, but also it could help you. You're going to learn more about investing, and hopefully that'll help you make better financial decisions in your personal life. But you do not have to be an expert at all to do this. The game site has lots of teacher resources. You have access to me and Megan, and the staff at SC Economics are wonderful to help you out. So don't be overwhelmed and think, oh, I can't do this because I don't know finances. It's okay. You can learn as we go. And it is free to register. And as Megan said, your teams are competing for prizes. All right, so I've been doing it. I didn't really introduce myself. I am Stephen Bidwell. I work at Bridge Creek Elementary, and I've been doing the game with kids for over 10 years, normally in a club environment. Currently, we meet on Fridays with the different groups and do it once a week. But there's many ways I'm sure you could integrate it into your classes or during the school day or in some sort of club environment. Before school, after school, lots of different ways to approach it. So the nuts and bolts. So first of all, obviously what students are going to do it with you. And the one game we have coming up is the spring game. It starts on Monday and it lasts for 11 weeks to April 15th. So in a way, it's a bad way to teach investing because we want to teach them to invest and hold for long-term goals. And this is more just almost gambling in 11 weeks when you're buying stocks, as we can see how the market's been doing the past week or so. It can be quite a roller coaster, but they're getting to dabble in it and they're learning it, and you teach them the right things about investing along with it, that they can leave with some good knowledge that they can take into their future years. So you'll have to put your kids into teams, 3 to 5 students per team is the recommendation. And I'm just going to go through the registration process with you because we have a lot of people who've never done it before. So I've had the link here. And wait, before I get too far into this, one thing I wanted to do was share this slideshow and go ahead and put a link in the chat, just in case some people like to, not be dependent on where I am in the presentation and go back and look at something more careful. So I think that should be posted now. So I think anybody that has that link can view my presentation. All right, so I'm going to click on this link and take us to what you'll see when you register. All right, you'll get this opening screen and the blue button, register. You want to learn all about the stock market game. There's lots of things to learn about. Probably videos telling how great it is, that sort of thing. But you click register, and we're going to find programs in your area. You can click on that. You can just put in your postal code. I'll just do my schools, and it found Megan's Game. You click on that. We're going to register for Megan's Game. All right, I'll just put in some basic information about myself. And you can participate by yourself. I think there's normally like a little 3-week window where you can play the game by yourself, and that might have already happened, but you're going to probably want to do it with students. So you're going to teach students and others. You have to answer all the questions. And then we're looking for the game again. Pick your program period. The year-long game is ongoing. You don't want to do that. It started back in September, so it's really too late for that. But you'll click on the spring game. And then you would find your school. You have to answer a little question there, so they'll know where to look for your school. And there's my school. So hopefully your school will show up. If it doesn't, contact Megan. She'll help you. Again, you have to answer some questions about your school, your address, put some phone numbers in here, school number, and then maybe your cell number or something. You can answer those things if you have more time. I don't think it's required. So then you're going to set up your classes. I always put my name, Bidwell. You can have any kind of name you want for your class. Pick a subject area, look through the list, find something that makes sense for you. In person, you can also do it. I did it when we were totally at home. I did it virtual. I did a virtual club, and we did it over the computer. So you can definitely do that. But I'm going to click in person because our kids are at school. Pick your grades. And this is where we're going to put your number of students. So let's just say I had 15 students, and I decided I'm going to do 4 teams, 5 teams, something like that. And then that's it. I'm not going to click on the button, but I just wanted you to see. Sometimes, like the first time I did it, it was a little confusing on how to do this page. So you're just going to do one registration, and then Megan's going to send you an email that comes from her system. Find it real quick. Megan's going to send you an email that's going to give you 2 logins. One's going to be a login for you as the teacher with the password. And then there's going to be a separate login and password for every team that you register. So if you put 5 teams, you'll get 5 login IDs and 5 passwords. If you put 10 or whatever, that's what you're going to get. All right. So let's see where we are. How do I get this bar out of the way, Megan? Let me try something real quick. All right, so that's how we register. If you have any questions, Megan will help walk you through it, but I just wanted you to see it. All right, so one thing you can have your teams do is come up with a team name, and I'm going to show you sort of what things look like when you log into the game. So you would open a new tab and just go to stockmarketgame.org like we did before. And this time you're going to log in instead of register, because you're going to have your username and password. Now I'm going to use the one that Megan gave me for the teachers. So I like to just copy and paste, because some of these things are hard to get right when you type them. And I encourage the kids to copy and paste. I'm going to show you how I do that as well. All right, so when you log in, can't do that right now. All right, so you log in and you get a button that says start here. You can click right there and it's going to take you in and give you all kinds of support. So like I said, you don't have to be an expert. It's going to give you all kinds of support. It's going to give you tutorials that you can share with your students and walk them through sort of lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. They're pretty well done by the stock market game people. All right. So you can always start there for the basics. What I normally go to on a daily or weekly basis is to view the team portfolios. So you go here and it's going to show you all your teams listed. It's going to show the passwords again. So you're going to make sure that the kids can get access to these, and I'm going to show you how I do it. But I talked about team names. One way to do team names is you click on this little hyperlink, and down here you can actually type in nicknames. Whatever the team nickname that the team comes up with, you can type it in and then update the nickname, and you'll have nicknames. So when you go to look at the rankings, it won't just be this boring number. The kids will see, you know, a clever name that they came up with, and it make it a little more personal for them. All right, and so you can access each of the team's screens. So I'll just show you what a student screen would look like, and you can access it too. You actually have control. You could go in there and you know, buy and sell stocks for them if you wanted to, but obviously you wanted them to do it. But when they log in with their username and password, they're going to get a screen that looks like this. Once they start investing, they'll have some ranking links here, so they can click and they can see the rankings where they stand in within their school level, like elementary school teams, or it'll also show how they compare against every single team that's out there in South Carolina playing the game. It has all kinds of information about their account. And I'm not going to go through how to do things, but there's videos in there that tell you can show the students on how to do everything to buy and selling stock, everything they want to do. It sort of walks them through that. But I just wanted you to see that. Okay. Let me get back to my presentation again. So haven't decided on a team name. You can input the nicknames and have that. So how do you handle these team IDs and passwords? This is what I do. So I create a Google Doc, actually a spreadsheet, and then I share it with them. So we're a Google district, but I do a Google Doc, and I just share it with the people that are on the team. So me and the 3 or 4 kids that are on that team share this document. And it has a link to the website. It has a place where I would put their username and password. So I'd put it in these 2 blanks, and that way they would have it and they could copy and paste it. Instead of having to keep up with a paper copy or having to type it themselves, they could just teach them how to copy and paste, and they can copy and paste it. Because if they don't, they're always going to say it's not working, but it'll work. All right, they can put their team name, they can put their team members. So that's how I handle the logistics of the passwords and the usernames. All right, just jump back and forth. All right, so what my teams do after they've bought stocks and the game is just going on, well, you can have all kinds of different lessons, and we'll talk about some of that. But one thing I do have them do every time our club session meet is they track their stocks. So let me just show you that while I have that screen up. So in this data sheet that I showed you, I create tabs at the bottom. And what they are, they're blank right now, but it has a place where they can put the name of the stock, the ticker symbol, how many shares they bought, when they bought them, and then they would enter in a date and the price, the current price. So every time they come in, they would just go to the internet and they would Google whatever stock they have, find the price, and they put the price in there, and it would calculate how much money they actually have invested, and then it would start creating a graph for them. So you could have them track it on paper and pencil and do their own graphs, but I try to use some technology, but have them still put it in. Obviously, these graphs are accessible on the internet already, but I want them to input the information, see, a new dot will appear every time they put in a new date and a new price, and they'll see the dot pop up on the screen, and they can see if the stock price has gone up or if it's gone down. They can look for trends. If something dramatic happens, then I encourage them to, hey, let's go out there and see what happened. Why did this stock price change so much? Is it just because the whole market's changing, or is there something specific to this company? Did they have a quarterly report that was bad or good, or some sort of new technology, some sort of new announcement? Did their CEO get in trouble or something, some sort of news? And that helps them tie what they're doing to current events and how things outside really impact stocks. So that's what it looks like when they first start. Let me just show you how it looks at the end. All right, so this was a team last spring. They came up with the name of Spicy Money Sellout. Four girls on a team, well, 3 girls and a boy, it looks like. Their username and password is on there. That was from last spring. And so then I created these tabs and put the headings on them. The kids can do that too, but so here's just one for Apple. They bought Apple. It shows when they bought it, how many shares they bought. They bought 34 shares, and they entered the price on all the different dates. And there's a little calculation in it that shows what the value is of that investment, and it plotted a graph for them. All right, so they could see it was going down, and then it popped back up the last week, whatever. So they're watching the trend. They can see how their investments are doing by them putting in the data. And at the end, we can do some calculations. Was it a good investment? Was it a bad investment? Did they gain money? Did they lose? We also I teach them how to calculate percent change, to give them a return on investment calculation to see how each stock does. So they do that for every stock that they bought, and they track them all every week. So it's one thing we do every week. All right. Megan, if there's any questions about anything, just let me know.
So we do have a request, if you're okay with sharing that spreadsheet.
Oh yeah.
I'll do a forced copy tomorrow in tomorrow's follow-up email, but I think everyone loves that spreadsheet.
Yeah, anything that I share you guys tonight, I'm totally fine with sharing. It is a competition. I want to win, but I'm not against helping other people out. I want everybody to play. All right, so let's see. Let me go back to my presentation. Oh, what happened to it? There it is. All right. So that's what we do, tracking. Now, for a variety of reasons, I haven't even met with my new clubs yet. Normally we meet like as soon as we come back from winter break, and I have maybe 4 or 5 weeks before the game starts. And I like to start out with a basic introduction about savings and banks and interest and inflation. And then why, because of inflation, we need to have our money grow for our longer term goals better than inflation. So then I say there's something out there that can make your money grow better than interest, and that's investing. So that's sort of, I do an introduction. It might take several weeks or a couple weeks of that, and I have some fun activities for that I'm happy to share. But because I haven't had a chance to meet with my kids at all, they're coming back. I'm going to meet with them. Heck, I'm not going to even meet with them this Friday. So I'm really going to be actually meeting with them next Friday will be the first time, hopefully, and the game will have already started. So I'm going to like do a fast track and just jump right in with this particular group. And so you might be in the same boat. And so I want them to get in the game as soon as possible. The game is only 11 weeks. So if I waste 3 or 4 weeks talking about savings and interest, the game will be halfway over before they even jump in there. And we know that the quicker you can jump into stocks, the better chance you have for them to grow. Especially right now, as the market's been doing bad, maybe this is a really good time to jump in and buy, but you never know what's going to happen with the market. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you I'm going to show you how I go about getting the kids to pick stocks, because it can be overwhelming for kids and definitely overwhelming for anybody. There are so many stocks to choose from. Now, if you want to go right into mutual funds and have them buy mutual funds instead of stocks, you can buy mutual funds in the game as well. So that would be a whole nother lesson, but I always just do stocks, just keep it simple. Understanding stocks is hard enough as it is, so just keep it simple to begin with. So one thing I do is I give each kid an index card. Each kid an index card. And the first week, we just brainstorm products that they like particularly. They're just something they like, whether it's a store or a product they like. And sometimes that can be challenging to associate that with a company and then a stock that's actually a stock. But I help them with that because sometimes they might pick something like Pelican snowballs or something like that, and you can't find a stock for that, or they pick a Japanese company that makes a video game that there's not a stock for that. So there's a lot to light into that, but hopefully we can find some product that they like, one product or one thing that they like that we can associate with the company. That company is a stock, and we write that down on the card. All right, and then the second thing I do is let's get another stock that's a recommendation. So normally in life, you want to get recommendations on things you don't know about. So let's get a recommendation. So maybe that could be talk to somebody at home, but since my kids aren't going to even have a chance to do that, one thing I do is I go to an Edward Jones stock table. My wife happens to work for Edward Jones, so I know you can get hard copies of these. Probably just go to an Edward Jones office and say, hey, can I get hard copies of this table? But you can actually access it on the internet. And it's a nice, like 7-page list of stocks. And it is broken up into different sectors, but pretty major stocks, nothing too obscure. They might recognize some of them, but it has 7 pages of stocks, lots of information that I don't really worry about. But mainly I tell them, let's look through this 7-page list and pick one stock, but it has to have a buy in the opinion column. So in the second, third column, it has to say buy, meaning that somebody thinks that's a stock that you should buy. So they can look through it, find something they like, and write that on the card. All right, let me jump back to my slides. All right, so now they have one stock on there that was something they just personally liked. A second stock is a recommendation. And then a third stock is like a random thing. So you can go to this website that I have linked here. It's in the slideshow, so you can get to it. And it has every single stock that starts with A, every single stock that starts with any letter of the alphabet on the New York Stock Exchange, also on NASDAQ. So those are the 2 major stock exchanges that you're going to buy stocks from in the stock market game. But the lists are just so long. And so what I do something silly with them. I give each of them a coin, and I say, let's flip a coin, and if it's heads, you're going to pick one off the New York Stock Exchange. If it's tails, you're going to pick one off the NASDAQ. And then let's flip it again, and if it's heads, let's use your first initial, and if it's tails, let's use your last initial. So just totally random. They flip a coin, and let's say they get tails, they go to the NASDAQ, and then they get heads, and the kid's first name is Larry, so they go to L, and they get this, again, a sort of a long list of stocks. And some of these stocks are, I don't know, sort of not something they really want to invest in, because they're sort of like, I don't even understand what all this stuff is. But, you know, find something on there that piques their interest. And again, the whole idea is here is like pin the tail on the donkey. Let's find a stock that's totally random and write it down on our card. All right. Now, the stock that to be a stock that you can buy in the stock market game, it has to be at least $3. So if you're looking at the price over here, it would have to be something $3 or more. So no penny stocks. You can't buy that in the game. So that's just a silly way to sort of do pin the tail on the donkey and have a random stock. And sometimes those random stocks are going to be the ones that are lucky enough that cause the team to win. Because the stocks on the Edward Jones list are pretty established stocks. They're probably not going to change a lot in 11 weeks. But anyway, that's just one sort of fun thing I do with the kids, to get 3 stocks on their card. And then hopefully each person at the table or the team has 3 different, you know, everybody has their own stocks. So if it's a group of 4, that's 12 stocks to, you know, to at least start with. And they don't have to use those stocks, but it's just something to start with. This is another awesome site. And I'm going to show you this site because it's just really amazing. I should look at it every day. Really, I don't, but it's FinViz, and it has this rectangular grid, and every single rectangle on there is a stock. And I think over here on the left, you can sort it by just S&P 500. I think right now it's every stock, I think. And I think it's showing the past 3 months performance, but you can change the time period. But basically you have this quick snapshot to look at every stock and sort of get a pulse of how that stock's been doing over that time period. If it's bright green, it's done really well. If it's bright red, it's done really bad. If it's more neutral, then it's done closer to no change over that time period. And you can just sort of hover over a stock. You have a little graph that shows up. It shows the graph over that time period. It shows other stocks in that same category and how they've done. You know, this is just a really fun thing. You play around with this for hours just to see stocks. And, you know, if they want to go with something big, the bigger the rectangle, the bigger that company is. So they might want to go to something big. They might want to, you know, go for something small because they think, hey, if it's smaller, it might change more. I'm trying to get lucky. But it's a really fun website. And there is like I have access to an activity that sort of opens this up for kids where they go through and answer questions. It's just, I think it's a really neat website to use to pick stocks. So I'm going to try to quickly get my kids to pick some stocks next week. And let me show you another sheet that I'm happy to share with you guys. I should have pulled it up, but I didn't, but it shouldn't take just a second. I call it a candy party activity, and I can share with you the whole thing. Oh, I didn't mean to do that, sorry. That was the candy party. Google Doc. It's a whole silly little activity, and I can share the document with you. You can read it and see how I use it, but I'm probably not going to do that this time because we're sort of pressed for time. I want to get my kids going quick. So basically, I would give them a sheet that looks like this. And I have my kids, my approach is I like my kids to plan up front. I like for them to take all their money and make a budget of how they're going to break it up and spend it. Some teams don't do that. Some teams, you know, they resist my idea and they sort of just dabble in dip in a little bit as they go. But I like them to make a budget plan, pick the companies they're going to do, write down the ticker symbols, divide up their money. So, however they want to divide it up. Again, that takes some math. That's hard with elementary school kids. How are you going to divide up 100,000 amongst 7 stocks or 11 stocks, or just creative ways they can figure out. You can teach them, and they can come up with how they're going to break up their money. So again, I try not to tell the kids what to do. I just try to lead them and help them figure out how they want to do it. I don't tell them what stocks to pick. They pick their own stocks, and they decide how they want to break up the money. But they fill this out, then they look up the price for one share, and then I show them how to divide on a calculator to get the number of shares you need to buy. Because when you use the stock market game, it's a little bit different than real life. In real life, you would go to a broker and say, I want to put $5,000 on this stock, and they would figure out how many shares that is. But in this game, the stock market game, you have to tell the game how many shares you want. And so if the kids don't think through this, they might just say, I'll just do 10 shares because 10 is the minimum you can do. Well, I'll do 10 shares, but 10 shares of some stocks is hardly any money at all. So I want them to think through, how much money do they want to invest? And maybe they want to invest the same amount of money on all the stocks, and then they're going to have to do the division and get different numbers on how many shares you want to buy. Expensive stocks, maybe you can only buy 10 shares and you're going to actually invest quite a lot of money. In fact, Amazon, I think, is so expensive that in this game, you actually can't buy it because 10 shares of Amazon would be over like 30,000, which the game only lets you can't put all 100,000 on one stock. You have to do a little bit of diversification.
It's funny that you brought that up because that came up in the fall. So we actually did increase the max amount to, I think, 30,000 purely to accommodate Amazon. So you can buy Amazon, but you can literally just buy 10 shares.
Right. And there might be other exceptions where you can't even do that unless they tweak the rules for you. But anyway, this is just a sort of a budget sheet to get them to think through how they want to spend their money and do the division to figure out how many shares to buy. And like I said, there's videos on the website that can show you how to buy the stocks. It's quite easy, actually. All right, so that's what I'm going to sort of do next week when I get to meet with my kids. I'm going to just jump right in, try to pick some stocks, and get into it as quick as I can, and then we're going to start tracking them. So again, I'll share anything that people want. Megan, you can just make a list of stuff that people are interested in, or I can do everything. We talked about tracking the stocks. And so then I just have a list. Let me check the time. We got 6:35, plenty of time. So I have a huge list of activities that I've done. These are just things I've personally done. So silly things and just things to try to build up the interest and also to teach kids about different things. I'm not going to read through these. If you have any particular questions about something that piques your interest, be happy to reach out to me, send me an email or whatever, and I'll be happy to tell you what I've done there. But I'm going to focus on one activity that you can take from here today, and you can do it with your kids right away, whether they're doing the stock market game or not. You could do this activity with them. And as Megan alluded to, at the end, we're going to tell you about an opportunity where you do an activity with some kids and get some proof. They're going to send you a check for $100 just for that. So I want you to walk away with something that you can use with your kids. All right, so it's down at the end. It's a dice game. So hopefully you have some paper handy, but I'm going to show you how to get to this game on this website, ngpf.org. I don't know how many of you heard of this, Next Gen Personal Finance, an amazing organization that has just so many resources for teachers, all free, lesson plans, everything you need. Really amazing organization. Their goal is to try to get financial literacy a required course for every high school in America. And so they're really just excellent resources for you as teachers. So let's open a new tab and go to ngpf.org. And They have a nice search bar. So I'm going to search for this thing called Roll with the Market. That's the game we're going to play. Roll with the Market. I just search for it. All right, it's filtering by a lot of things. I'm going to filter by activities. You get all these different activities. You know, they're not all the same game, but there's just so many different games you can play to engage the kids. So let's see if we can get to Roll with the Market activity. All right, I took you to another page of behavioral economics activities. There's actually quite a few there, probably all good stuff, but we're going to view the Google Doc that goes along with Roll with the Market. So I didn't create this. This came straight from this website. It's really well done. It tells you exactly how to play this game. It has slides you can click on that you could share with your kids. It has a worksheet you can print out, but really all you need is a piece of paper in front of you. And I'm going to show you how to play the game. We're actually going to play the game together. All right, so your page needs to look something like this. Now I did create this, but they have their own worksheet, but I just created something simple. You just need to be able to document your score from round to round. So I have 7 columns. The first column is just the round. The game is 10 rounds. And in the game, you're going to start with $100. And so the way the game works is every round, you have to decide whether you're in the market or out of the market. So meaning whether you're invested or not. And you can't, I guess you can make the game more complicated and say, well, I'm going to do $50 in and not $50 out. But for simplicity, you just say it's either all in or it's all out. Okay. Now, if you decide that you're out of the market, then you would just go to the 6th column and put a +1. And your ending balance would be 101. So if you were out of the market, you would just do nothing and you would get $1, sort of like $1 of interest, money in a bank, and you would be 101. But let's say you decide you want to be in the market, then you get to sort of participate. All right. And I'm not going to even tell you that yet. So what I want you to do is I want you to decide, we're going to play the game. So play it, you know, you don't have to put anything in the chat unless you really want to, but in your mind or on your paper, just decide if you're going to be in or out. Once you make your decision, if you're out, go ahead and put 101 as your ending balance and you just sit back and watch. If you decided to be in, then this is what's going to happen. So let's just say you decide to be in, then I'm going to get to this dice roller. Not that one, this one. And I'm going to roll a dice. Roll a die. And if the die comes up a 1 or a 2, that means it was a down market. The market went down. If the die comes up as a 3, 4, 5, or 6, then it's an up market. So here we go. I'm going to roll the die. And it is an up market. Okay. So I think there's a place on the sheet where you can click on, you can type in up. But the good thing is now when it's up, we're going to roll 3 dice. I'm going to roll 3 dice. So here it goes. Roll 3 dice. We're going to add up the total of those 3 die. So it looks like it's 14. And that's how much the market was up. So it was up $14 for round 1. So if you were in, your new total is now 114. If you're out, you're only 101. Okay. All right. Hopefully you're with me so far. So good. you're going to take your ending balance and you're going to type it in as the starting balance for round 2. And we're going to repeat the process. So for round 2, decide now if you're in or out of the market. If you are out of the market, go ahead and add 1. You know what your ending balance is now. You're just sitting back and watching. If you decide you're in, all right, no change in your mind. Once you're in, let's go see how the market did. Ooh, it's a 2. So 2 means that the market was down. Now we're going to go see how bad the damage is. Let's see. Market's down 11. So it's down 11. So if you're in, subtract the 11 from your balance, get your ending balance for round 2. All right, take your ending balance from round 2, and it'll be your starting balance for round 3. All right, make your decision, whether you're in or out. If you're out, add 1, and you're done for this round. If you're in, let's see what happens. Oh, good. 6 is up. So 3, 4, 5, or 6 gives you an up market. Let's see how good the market was in round 3. Up 8. So up 8 in round 3. If you were in, add 8 to your total to get your new ending balance. Take that ending balance over for round 4 as your starting balance and make your decision. Are you in or out? If you're out, add 1 and sit back and watch. All right, for those that are in, let's see how the market did. Oh, market's up again. Market's up. Let's see how much it's up. Only 6. You can think of these rounds as years. It's a pretty realistic game. There's not going to be any numbers like around 0 because it's either going to be up or down, whatever 3 dies add up. So you're not going to get a lot of changes near 0. But anyway, for round 4, you're up 6 if you're in. So add that and get your new ending balance after round 4. Take that and it'd be your starting balance for round 5. Make your decision whether you're in or out. If you're out, add 1. If you're in, let's see how the market does in round 5. Another good market. Market's up. Let's see how much it's up. 15. Great year. So if you are in, add 15 to your score. All right. So in the directions, it has some optional things to increase excitement. So after round 5, you could go around your classroom and have the people that are ahead figure out, first of all, who's ahead, and have them describe what strategies they're using. So, you know, who knows what they'll come up with. But the whole idea behind this is we're going to establish that these are our experts and they're giving advice. And at the end of the game, we're going to see if the expert's advice influence other people. just like that Edward Jones stock table, we considered them experts, and they told us whether to buy or sell. And I'm sure they don't keep count on how often they're wrong, but you know, especially over a short time period, some of those stocks that say buy on it, especially these past few weeks, have been doing really poorly. So experts, you know, you can go on the internet and find all kinds of experts saying buy this stock, buy that stock, and a lot of times it influences people. All right, so that's the idea behind that. Let's get back to the game. We're in round 6 now. Decide if you're in or out. If you're out, add 1. If you're in, let's see how the market did in round 6. Up again. Let's go see how much it's up. Up 8. So if you were in the market, add 8 to get your new total. Take that over for round 7. And here's another thing they suggest before round 7. This round's going to be a double round. So if you're behind, if you think you're behind, you just found out who was the lead after round 5. You sort of know if you're behind. This maybe is a chance to catch up because everything's going to be double. But unfortunately, if it's a bad year, it's going to be double down as well. So whatever we get on the 3 die roll, it's going to be double. It could be double good or double bad. So just know that going in, there's no choice. If you're in, it's going to be double. If you're out, you get your +1. So make your decision whether you're in or out for round 7. And let's go see what happens in round 7. So round 7's the high volatility. Oh, we're up in round 7. So barely. 3 is good. 3, 4, 5, or 6, remember, are up. And we're going to see how much it's up. Oh, that's not good. So only 3, but it is double. So 6. So if you were hoping for a big payday in year 7, it didn't really pan out, but you did get +6 if you were in. So add 6 if you were in. All right. Take that over for round 8. And let's just knock out these last 3 rounds just for fun. All right, round 8. Decide first of all, always decide if you're in or out. If you're out, add 1. If you're in, then the market was up again. Quite a streak here, ups. And how much is it up? Only 4. Get some small numbers here, up 4. So if you are in, add 4 to your total. Take that over to round 9. Make your choice whether you're in or out. If you're out, add 1. If you're in, let's see how the market did in round 9. Up again. Quite a hot streak. Like the 20 teens, right? Every year was up. And let's see how much it was up in round 9. 9, up 9. So if you were in, add 9 to your total. Take that over for round 10. Make your decision, in or out. So again, you could have a discussion with people as they got to these end of these rounds. Hey, you're sort of close to the end of the game. You're doing really good. Maybe time to get out of the market and sort of protect your money. So it's sort of you can lead into what people do as they get closer to retirement. You really don't want to be heavily invested as you get close to retirement or close to your goal. If your goal is saving for school, college, you don't want to be investing in stocks the year before you go to college because you could lose quite a bit of money in 1 year. So you can talk about that, but again, it's their decision, in or out. If you're out, add 1. If you're in, let's see how the market did in year 10. That's up again. Quite an interesting game. It's just the luck of the die. I've seen it where it's some bad games and some good games. You never know what you're going to get. Obviously, if you wanted to go a certain way, I guess you could rig the die just to help you teach a point. But oh wow! So people stayed in it to the end. They got 18 up on the last round. So if you were in, add 18 to your total. For quite a windfall there. if you are in. All right, and so again, back in the document, it has all kinds of reflection questions. Remember, this is about behavioral economics. So how did you feel? What were your emotions? What influenced your strategies? Was it your friends, what they said? Was it the trends? Was it like, hey, it's been up every time. I think it's going to keep being up, or, oh, there's no way it can be up again. It's got to be down this time. You know, was those kind of things influencing you? And then you can talk about how these things are real things that affect people's investing strategies, that people really hate losing a lot more than they do like winning. Some people see patterns that don't exist. I mean, the stock market is really, really, really hard to predict. But in general, it matches this game that it's going to be up more than down. It's probably not going to be up 90% of the time like it was in this game, but it is going to be up more than it's down. Again, the expert's opinion, did the people in round 5, did they influence you? Were people like overconfident, like, oh, I got this, I can time this, I can jump in and out, I can time it. Did people feel regret when they got out, and especially like they got out in round 10 and then that other person got 18? And that's something that's a really important thing to think about. You know, it's not about, investing is not about beating your friend. It's about making your goal. So especially nowadays, you see so much on the news like GameStop, I made all this money on GameStop, and you're like, the fear of missing out is a huge thing, that like, man, I missed out, let me get into GameStop. But you're probably getting into it too late. People love to talk about all their winnings, but they don't talk so much about when they're losing. So, you know, the regret of missing out is a big behavioral thing. And then there's risk taking. Do people take too many risks? So anyway, it's a great little game to sort of think about investing and the emotions that go along with it, and sort of how the stock market works. So if you want to put it in the chat what your final total was, or what the winner was. If you had timed the market perfectly, like if somehow you knew that round 2 was going to be down and you pulled out and you were in every single one, you could have been $189 at the end. So you can't be higher than that. But if somebody got up to 189 or close to that, then you might be the winner. All right, so we're getting close to that time, 6:55. Let me try to pull my slideshow back up. All right, so again, any of these activities, if something just catches your interest, let me know and I'll be happy to share what I've done in the past. So while you are all here, oh, don't forget to register. Don't forget to register. But here's why we're all here, probably to get some money. So Megan, if you want to chime in, you can, but basically if somebody takes anything from my lesson, whether it's just playing the game or you know, doing that index card with picking stocks or anything, or playing this role with the market game, and there's a form that Megan's going to send you. If you fill that form out, and I've done it, teachers at my schools have done it, I've led some classes before and they've done it, it's really not that hard. You do have to have some evidence. Like for the role with the market game, it could just be collect the students' worksheets and, you know, send them in to Megan along with your form, where you reflect on what you did, and it's really not that hard to fill out, and they will send you $100. There's money to be handed out. So my teachers at school have been like, I can't believe I got this check for $100 and all I did was this and this, and it's great. So Megan, I'll let you talk. I should stop talking.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stephen. That was awesome. So yeah, the first incentive, like Stephen just explained, if you teach any personal finance lesson in your classroom, get some evidence, like you said, some pictures of student work, I will send the participation form in tomorrow's follow-up email along with all the resources that Stephen just shared. So be on the lookout for that tomorrow. And if you don't get that by tomorrow, shoot me an email, megan.freiberger@moore.sc.edu, and you can find that on SC Econ's website as well, my email, if you are trying to reach out to me. And then Stephen, if you could just click to the next slide, the last slide. And the second incentive, if you participate in at least 5 webinars or workshops, anything that SC Econ leads in the spring, then we'll send you another $100. So the way that you get credit for this is to fill out the Google form, just saying that you were part of this webinar, just a quick little evaluation. That's how you get credit for being here tonight. So I just put that in the chat. Let me know if that doesn't work, if you went ahead and clicked on it. And I'll also attach that in tomorrow's email if you don't get a chance to do it tonight. So thank you everyone for joining us on your Wednesday night. And if you have any questions, you can stick around. Otherwise, you are free to enjoy the rest of your evening. So again, thank you for joining us, and I hope you all enjoy competing this semester.